White House. Joining us now to discuss, Republican Congressman Brandon Gill of Texas, a freshman, a member of the House Oversight Committee. Congressman, apologize for the interruption there, but you can take it up with Mr. Trump. How will you vote, and is your party united? We understand Congressman Massey of Kentucky is a no. Are there any other no's?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, Jake. And I am a strong yes on this. And as soon as we get done here, I'm going to head right to the House floor and stick my voting card in the terminal and vote yes. This is a funding bill that will keep the government open, that provides about $500 million for desperately needed border security funding. It also provides the largest pay increase for junior servicemen, enlisted men, in 40 years. That's something that everybody should be able to get behind, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. We'll see how the vote goes today. I think that we'll get everybody on the Republican side, minus, of course, Mr. Massey, who has already said that he's a no. But I think we're going to get everybody else.
So your colleague, Mr. Massey, Congressman Massey of Kentucky, said earlier today it was a hard no on the bill, and he added, quote, "I guess deficits only matter when we're in the minority," unquote. Now, this is your first such legislation, so I'm not going to judge you too harshly. But does Congressman Massey have a point?
Well, listen, I agree with his concerns, broadly speaking. We have got to get our debt and deficit under control. President Trump inherited an economy and a government that is bankrupt, running $2 trillion deficits every single year. Unfortunately, he also inherited an appropriations process that has been busted, and the reality is that we just don't have and haven't had the time to bring us back to regular order, to run a regular appropriations process. So what this CR does is it buys us more time as President Trump and DOJ are doing their incredible work that they're doing in identifying waste, fraud, and abuse across the federal government. That process takes time. This gives us the time that we need to identify that waste, then quantify it, and then figure out how we're going to cut it. And I think that, we'll see further measures after this CR to cut some of that spending, even for this current fiscal year. So, I don't like CRs. Nobody does. But I think that this is 100% the correct play call from the president, and I'm fully supportive of it.
I want to get your reaction to something Elon Musk said just yesterday. Take a listen.
The waste report in entitlement spending, which is which is most of the federal spending is entitlements. So that's like the big one to eliminate, because that's the sort of $500 billion, maybe $700 billion a year.
Do you really think there's $700 billion a year in waste and fraud in programs such as Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security?
Well, I can tell you what the nonpartisan GAO has identified, and we had a hearing on this earlier today. They've identified what they believe to be about $500 billion just in fraudulent payments across the federal government. That's Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. This is not payments that are legitimately going to people who deserve it and actually should be getting this money. This is fraud. They've identified on top of that $161 billion just last year in what they believe to be improper payments. So there's an enormous amount of waste, fraud, and abuse in our federal government. That's why the DOJ work that they're doing is so important. For decades, Congress has been trying to figure out what's going on at the executive branch, where they're spending and doling out all of this money. And finally, we're getting some answers, and I think that the American people are shocked by it. And, I think in the coming months, you're going to see some action from Congress to get rid of this as well.
Republican Congressman Brandon Gill, the great state of Texas. Thank you, sir. Good to see you as always.
Thank you, Jake.
And more breaking news, Ukraine.